Hello, and welcome to the FM podcast. I'm Jen Fritz, and I run Fritz Media, a music publicity and digital marketing firm located in Vancouver, Canada. And this is episode number 17 of the podcast. So this week on the show, we're going to talk about rights and revenue streams for musicians. And joining me on the show is Rebecca Webster, who is the Director of Industry Relations and Communications at the Canadian Musical Reproduction Rights Agency, or the CMRRA. And before Rebecca joined the CMRRA back in 2019, she was actually an independent music publicist like me, and she ran highly respected music PR company Webster Media Consulting for about 10 years. Now, music rights and royalties is probably one of the most confusing parts of the music industry. Even for me, I still have no idea sometimes. And Rebecca and I had a really great chat about where musicians can get started when it comes to their rights and royalties, how they can find resources, and how the CMRRA can help. So get ready to learn some really good tips. Here's my conversation with Rebecca Webster. Well, hello, Rebecca. How are you doing today?
Doing all right. Nice to be here.
Well, it's nice to have you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. So I think that you and I have met a few times over the years, probably at the many music conferences.
I think that's probably right. That's where I tend to pop up. Well, probably festivals too, maybe.
Well, that's true. I want to start things off by getting a bit of your background in the music industry. I'm wondering, where did you start and how did that lead to where you are now?
Well, I guess where did I start is an interesting question. So first of all, you might know me because I grew up in Vancouver. I don't even know if you know that part. I grew up in North Vancouver, so Grouse Mountain. And I moved to Toronto to go to Ryerson University and went to their radio and television arts program. And I mention this because in the third year, I believe it is, there's a internship and you get to choose your own internship. And I chose Virgin Music Canada as one of my two internships. And I think it was sort of the tail end of the good days in the music industry.
Oh, yes. I remember them well.
Like someone had a scooter in the office, kind of great part of the music industry. There was a ping pong table, I think, too. But it was my first taste of like how it actually worked and what people did in the music industry. And later on, I had to quit a few jobs before I re-entered as a real human in the music industry. But my first steps were at Harbourfront Centre in Toronto, which is Canada's largest cultural arts centre. So I was hired on to work with Jesse Kumagai and Derek Andrews to program bands for the summer festivals. So there's 13 summer festivals. So you get really adept at figuring out all the different music genres. And it was a really good training ground. A lot of good people came out of Harbourfront Centre at that time. After a bunch of years, I ended up applying for a job at Fusion 3, which was a distributor based in Montreal. And I headed up their media relations department in Toronto. Launched Secret City Records in Patrick Watson's career and subsequently won the Polaris Prize for his debut album.
Not bad.
And then when Fusion 3, suffered from the economic depression in 2008 and I lost my job and then they subsequently went bankrupt. 2 months later, I call it the winter of my unemployment. I started a PR company called Webster Media Consulting and I did that for 11 years.
Which is where I primarily know you from because we were doing the same thing. So
yeah, exactly. So I did publicity for a really long time and I had some great clients, everyone from Carquois to Arcade Fire to Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds and Margot Price, Lisa LeBlanc. I did a lot of work with francophones who were trying to get out of Quebec or develop outside of Quebec. I also did a couple of things with North by Northeast and the Canadian Folk Music Awards and even some film festivals too, because I love film as well. And then eventually I decided that I needed to expand and do something different. Media is dying a little bit and I could see it coming, getting worse. You could be a really good publicist, but if there's no media outlets, then what are you going to do? So I got a job at CMRRA and that's where I am today. It's the Canadian Musical Reproduction Rights Agency. And I'm the Director of Industry Relations and Communications.
Oh, amazing. So it fits into your skill set. anyway,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. There's still PR part of it, but I'm doing a lot more sort of a wide berth of things. So I also do sponsorship, and, I'm the industry relations part means that I'm heavily talking to people and creating the presentations, but also educating people about what rights and royalties are and what CMRRA does.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a good time to start talking about the topic at hand. Today, we're going to talk about rights and revenue streams for musicians. And since you do work for the CMRRA, this will all obviously be from a Canadian perspective. Now, this is all like probably one of the parts of the music industry that is most overlooked by musicians because it can be so confusing, which is where your collective steps in, because you provide guidance to songwriters and music publishers and help them navigate music rights and royalties. So for a musician starting out, where would you recommend they begin when it comes to their own music rights and royalties?
I think you have to figure out what hats you're wearing. So you need to figure out if you're the songwriter and the performing artist, what rights are involved in that equation. From my perspective, you need a performance right organization. So that might be SOCAN, it might be ASCAP or BMI in North America. But you also need, if you're the songwriter and you've written the song, you need to make sure you're not forgetting your mechanical rights. And that's where I come in to advocate.
Yes.
There's also two other categories. There's neighboring rights, and there's also the master recording rights. So if you haven't got a deal with a label yet, then you do own your masters. So you should be connecting with Connect Music Licensing or SOPROC if you're in Quebec. And then neighboring rights, there's also a whole chain of companies that you can join. You just have to figure out what's the best fit for you. In Canada, there's Resound. You could also directly join our parent company or CMRRA's parent company, Sound Exchange, but you would also have to make sure that you're joining SAG-AFTRA if you want to collect the money for the non-featured performers on your record. Or you could join one of Resound's 3 partner organizations. So there's ActorRax, MROC, and Artisti, who Artisti are based in Quebec.
So it sounds like it all starts with kind of understanding how it all works first.
Yeah, I think so. Like you have to know, are you the songwriter? Are you the performer? Do you own your master rights? And are you collecting your neighboring rights as well? And once you've figured out that, then you have to figure out the organizations that are associated with it. I actually have, because I came from the label side of things and the distribution side of things, one of my things was to create this sort of compass at CMRRA. And I often send it out in the chat when we're doing these virtual conferences and panels and things, because people don't even know where to start,
Yeah. So is it kind of like a visual, like this is of everything? These are the things you need to look after, and this is what they do.
Yeah, it's like thing. 4 quadrants. So it's sort of like the song is the middle, and then here are the 4 quadrants.
These are all of the things that you have to. Yeah, it's so confusing just because, working with so many independent musicians, they don't have a label. And if they don't have a label, odds are they don't have a publisher, of their own. So I know that it can be so confusing. It can just seem like so much. In the music industry, the way it is right now, there's obviously not a lot of ways for musicians to make money from their music. So obviously having their rights and royalties sorted is more important than ever. I'm wondering just like how important it is for an independent musician to have a music publisher at the beginning of their career. Is that something they should even be worried about, or is that like long-term maybe?
It's funny. I heard a music publisher friend of mine answer this question the other day, and I was curious to see what her answer was. And she basically said, and I agree with her, I think you have to find the right time for everything. So music publishers often don't want to take you on right away if you haven't demonstrated the value of your work. So, that the value will be in the craft of songwriting. Are you a songwriter? Basic, because they're trying to add value to your songwriting. And so I think you have to develop yourself. It's sort of like finding the right manager for you as well, or the right label. You need to just sort of prove yourself a little bit before you get a music publisher. And so more and more, I'm speaking with people like the Songwriters Association of Canada, because we want people to know that you can join CMRRA for free. You can be a songwriter. You don't have to have a music publisher. And a very normal thing is that, if you do get into a relationship with a publisher, we can move your catalog over under their umbrella
Nice.
And they can administer your things. But I also think that if you don't have a music publisher right away, you can kind of learn what questions you want to ask your future music publisher.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not going to have a good relationship with a publicist or a manager or a label if you don't know questions like what you want to ask them. And I think that push and pull is sort of the main relationship in the music industry, right? Like it's required. It's not just, I have a music publisher. Like, that's it. We're done. Like, I'm logging off now. You can collect my money. Yeah. I mean, some of that is true. You do want to have space to focus on your craft and your creativity 100%, but you still need to check in every once in a while.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we say that all the time over here. You should know what you're hiring somebody to do for you. Like, number one, like, there is a little bit of self-education that has to take place on the part of the musician to understand the industry that they are working in. I think that's really important. And it is true. Like, if you don't know what to ask for. Like, you just, which isn't like, what's the point of, having them help you either give them your money, as a publicist, or, have them help you create money. Well, you are giving them money as well.
You are giving them money, but like, if you don't, like 0% of zero is like 15% of zero is zero, right? So, really, like, you have to think about what a publisher is going to do for you, and they're really going to add value to your career. They're hopefully going to set you up to do better songwriting, maybe some collaborations, maybe some new relationships, and maybe some sync deals where you're actually getting physical money for your songs.
Real money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that's what, you do a lot of these, I guess, digital panels a lot.
Lately.
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure that's always the biggest question musicians have. How can I get my music synced? How can I get it onto TV shows?
You know what I find is the most interesting thing is that, say you're a person who put a song out on SoundCloud like 10 years ago. If you did that and didn't really realize that mechanical royalties are implicated in that, then we can still collect those royalties for you. It doesn't work like performance rights. Like, it goes retroactively. Yes. So there should be money for those streams available to you. Just, join and register those songs. And I think that everyone should.
No, that's a really important point that I think a lot of musicians don't really know, because the music business is such a global industry. It can be really difficult for independent musicians, especially if they're doing everything to stay on top of, tracking all of their rights and royalties all over the world. So you're saying this is something that your collective can help them with, or is this something that a company like Sound Exchange would do?
So are you talking about globally?
Yeah, just globally.
Yeah. So actually, in March, we just launched international collections at CMRRA. So we teamed up with the MLC, which is the Mechanical Licensing Collective. They just launched January 1st, 2021. And so we are working with them to collect digital mechanical royalties from the US. And then we've got a partner in England called Impel. And they were going to be collecting from over 75 countries outside of North America. And these are both opt-in. All of our business lines are opt-in. So you can choose if you want to collect from those places. When it comes to Sound Exchange, they're in the neighboring rights category. So we don't compete with them at all. They collect a different royalty, but
they're just doing different things, right?
Yeah. But they do have reciprocal agreements with many, many territories. So you can also inquire with them about that.
It's a confusing thing, people.
Sorry.
I'm even confused.
I'm trying. I'll send you my map. I will, and you can share it with your listeners.
I would love the map. Yeah, I know. Like, for someone that's, I've been in the music industry as long as I have, it is one of those parts of the industry, because I don't work so directly with it, that, I truly I don't understand it as much as I probably should. But, there are many resources out there for people. And if I was like a musician who did want to learn more about my music rights and royalties, can you recommend just a few, resources for them other than, just Google it? Like, which is what I would do.
Well, I mean, okay. So one, I'm going to plug our own CMRRA socials. Yay! You should follow us because, I'm often talking on panels. Our legal counsel, Andy Hunter, is often talking on panels. There's always new areas that are developing in rights and royalties. So it's not a static conversation.
Right.
Andy is going to be speaking at Canadian Music Week, and he's discussing online concert revenue and licensing. So that's evolving. Obviously, TikTok is an area that's evolving. Podcasting is evolving. So I would say, one, check out our socials and try and tune in. We're always trying to work with people across Canada and even in the US to, raise our voices and explain, where we're coming from. I also think that just in terms of tuning into the actual news headlines about music publishing, I really like the Music Business Worldwide newsletter. I think that has been an invaluable resource even for me, because as you said, like you, I came from the other side of the industry that wasn't really focused on music publishing. And you can see the business is kind of interesting, and you start seeing names of companies that might even, familiarize yourself with the big music publishers out there. And I think that's really valuable to know and learn. Yeah, those are two places. I think some media literacy is something I would preach. If you're doing the Google, which I know like 90% of people are just going to Google, most of the articles out there are focused on the US. So know that the legal state in Canada is different than the US. There's a lot of similarities, but they are different. So please read everything with a grain of salt. The National Music Publishers Association in the US is quite litigious. So you're going to see headlines about, them suing Peloton or, because they launched their company without having music licensing rights.
Just didn't think to do it, which is
I don't know if it was didn't think, right? Like
they just thought they'd get away with it.
Well, I think they had some licensing deals in place with some of the major music licensing companies, but not all of them. And
they were like, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, they're still not licensed in Canada. So we'll see what happens with that.
That's so crazy.
I know it is so crazy. The more and more you start tuning into it, the more you hear. I also think that the Music Business Association in the US is quite interesting. They've got a lot of seminars, but again, know that the US is a different country. So keep that in mind. Yeah. You'll see a lot of headlines about how Congress is like, if your song is played on the radio in the US, you're not necessarily getting paid for it, but in Canada, you are getting paid for it.
Definitely in Canada.
Right. Yeah. So like, you sort of, there's some outrage in the US over this right now, just in Canada, we're sitting pretty. So there's not one central area, but I think tuning in, I think is the way to do it.
Yeah. And just paying attention, like, as you said, like, it's not static. The music industry changes all the time. It's becoming more of a tech industry, as I say all the time. And, just as somebody who works in it myself, I have to, read up and make sure I stay on top of everything to understand it, which is hard. But, I mean, it's part of being in the business.
as a communicator, I even, when Pokemon Go was a big thing, I learned how to play Pokemon Go because that's what everyone was talking about. It was even, changing language. So, I think all of it is relevant. I often consider things like Twitter or TikTok sort of like putting your finger in the stream. It's a lot of stuff, and the way you filter it, you can figure out things that are useful to you and maybe generate some ideas too.
No, that's totally true. You mentioned, that you're figuring out how things like TikTok and podcasting. I'm interested. I'm wondering about the podcasting side of it because we do use music on our podcast. We get, we ask. It's always independent musicians, so it's easy for me to just ask if I can play it. But I've been under the assumption that nobody's getting paid for that.
So the best way, there's no easy answer for podcasting because it's been in discussion for a while. But essentially, the way you have to do it is you have to go to each music publisher, or as you say, directly to the artist or who is the songwriter. Technically, in that case, is a music publisher. But yeah, you have to go to the music publisher and ask for permission to use all the songs. And they might say yes, but for this rate. They might actually have a contracted rate for that. And that's been under discussion for a long time. CMRRA is directed by a committee called the Canadian Publishers Committee. And that committee is it runs like a board, and it's made up of music publishers, big and small, and they direct the way we license things. So their goal is to value the songwriter write all the time, and so that's the mechanical write. So they're always in the realm of podcasting, which, is exploding. It's seen as a market, and no one can really agree right now.
Yeah.
What if there were a blanket rate? What would that be? If it was for sort of small podcasts, what would that be? That's kind of the discussion right now, is about maybe a tiered approach that
that makes sense.
Might be more accessible for people. But yeah, we often get that question.
Yeah, I bet.
And it's not just like we're sitting back there. Our legal teams are always trying to move these things forward.
Yeah. Well, I just always tell people to make sure they get permission before they do it, which is, especially with copyright, that can get flagged. That'll get flagged. So especially if your podcast is on Spotify.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll get flagged, right?
Yeah.
So.
We actually have a tool on the CMRRA website called Repertoire Search, and you can actually put in a song title and find the name of the music publisher. We can't release contact details, but it might give you a starting point. And I've heard that ASCAP and BMI have a similar search tool that actually surfaces contact information. So that's just some information in terms of how you would even find the music publisher, because that's sometimes hard for people also.
Yeah, it is. That's very good information, Rebecca. Thank you.
I'm trying for the people.
It's for the people. Love it. So, okay, I feel like now is probably as good a time as any to move on over to our fresh content segment. Every week on the show, we discuss our favorite piece of music content for the week, and we always like to start with the guest. So, Rebecca, what do you got for us?
Well, we haven't brought it up here, but I'm actually in London, England right now. And yeah, it's exciting. I'm temporarily here living with my sister. But what that means is the other day I was on a double-decker bus. Nice. And I was listening to Six Music. And I love Six Music. It's just such a music-centric station. And I was really taken by this session that they had. It was a live session, and it's his name is Wulu, WU-LU, and he's a multi-instrumentalist, rapper, a producer, and he's from South London. And currently, right now, I'm in South London, and nice. I was born in London, and I spent my first 2 years of life in South London. So I was feeling very close to the subject matter, and the first lines of the song, and the song's called South, is I used to live in South London. And he's talking about the neighborhood, the diversity, the issues with systemic racism. He's really building a narrative that I felt was in line with everything that's been going on for the last year and just been sort of surfaced because of the pandemic. Poverty, it's kind of garagey punk alternative, but rap as well. There's really a lot going on, and I kind of needed a bit of rage.
I love it.
So I was feeling it, and I was just on this double-decker bus listening to this song, and I was just like, this is the best. So I can point you in the direction of the live session, or I can say just listen to Wulu on whatever platform you listen to, because I'll be platform agnostic here. But I think he's gonna blow up. I think it's going to be really interesting to see where that career goes.
I've been listening to a lot of things that make me rage filled. So
good.
So I feel like that's right up my alley.
Yeah, it hit me in the stomach. There's some screaming going on. I was like, yes.
Oh, I can't wait to listen to that, because that's exactly what I need right now, man.
Yeah, every once in a while, I'm really into soft folk, and I was all over moody indie rock, but not right now. This is what I need.
I think it's the rage time right now, and that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
So my fresh content for the week is this amazing freestyle rap from J. Cole that was floating around Twitter. It's J. Cole. He's on Power 106 in Los Angeles, and he does a freestyle over the 93 Till Infinity beat, and Mike Jones is Still Tippin'. And I don't know. I don't know about you, but there's something about freestyle rapping that'll just get me every time. And it's one of those freestyles that I watched it over and over again, because after the first time I was like, I need to see this again. And it's just so good. I
love that we both chose live things. because I think maybe that's the energy I'm missing right now, you know?
Do you know what? That is it. That probably is true. I liked, it's one of those freestyles that, you know is a freestyle, but you're like, how is he coming up with? I don't understand how this is, but anyway, it's so good. You can find it on the Twitter. It's on YouTube. I'll also link to it in the show notes as I will link to, I can't remember the name of your artist.
Wooloo. Yeah. So good. And also there's some amazing videos that he's made too for his other songs. I just think
I'm excited. I like when I hear about a new artist that I didn't know. This is so exciting.
No, I was really taken by it. And I think like my mornings where it's early morning and I'm on the double-decker bus to go to work out and I'm like, this is my moment.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is like one of my favorite things is when you're on public transit with music on to just like I'm in my own movie right now. Like,
yeah, totally. I feel like it's enhanced when you're sitting on the top level of a double-decker bus.
Totally.
Like you're also the driver.
Absolutely. Oh, I love it.
I'll never not be a small child here. Like I just think it's the best.
Well, London's such an incredible city, so I am jealous of you right now.
It's a little strange because it's it's very much still locked down. I mean, it's more open than Toronto, where I usually live, is. But yeah, they say hugging may be legal on Monday.
Oh my goodness, what will happen?
I don't know. I'll be paralyzed in the streets.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it. Is there anything else that you want to plug before we go, or maybe give people the website to the CMRRA?
Yeah, CMRRA, it's CMRRA.ca. And you should just make sure you're collecting. If you're the songwriter, there are royalties that you need to collect. And it's really easy, free. You just have to register your songs, just like you do with your performance rights organization. And yeah, we're pretty open to answering questions. Like we expect that, and we don't think that any question is too small. So yeah, don't be scared of asking questions, and we'll answer that email for you.
Nice.
So yeah, there's my
plug. I love it. All right. Well, thanks again, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks.
Well, that was a good one. I hope you learned a little something, and I hope you enjoyed our conversation. And thanks again to Rebecca for coming on the show. Thanks so much for listening to the FM podcast. If you like the show, please make sure you tell your friends and give us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. We're a brand new show, so we'd really appreciate it. The FM podcast is produced by Fritz Media. If you want to learn more about Fritz Media, check out our website at fritzmedia.ca. And you can follow us on Facebook, we're at Fritz Media, and on Instagram and Twitter at Fritz_media. And if you want to learn more about the podcast, just go to thefmpodcast.com. And a big thank you, as always, to Said the Whale for providing the theme music for the show. And you can find them at saidthewhale.com. Okay, so we're going to go out with our song of the week this week. And this one is from Fritz Media artist Larissa Tandy. Here's Sirens.
Trouble beats boredom any old day. We must have been bored that Saturday.
Bye. I'll see you next Tuesday.